Hi everyone, please take note of the following disclaimer. Please note that this video is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. It does not constitute financial advice. We are not registered financial advisors. Hey everyone, let's talk about the TFSA. Is it really tax-free, like the name says, right? So if we use Google once again, just ask Google, is the TFSA really tax-free? It says yes, the TFSA is generally tax-free for most Canadians when used according to the rules, right? The key benefit is that investment earnings, right? If you're holding stocks in there, ETFs, investment earnings, we know that investment earnings could be interest, could be dividends, could be capital gains, right? That is exempt, from Canadian income tax, right? Tax-free growth, again, tax-free withdrawals as well, and there's no impact on government benefits as well. And we've already talked about the contribution limits, right? And can't go over. Now, there are some considerations when we're dealing with the foreign withholding tax. That's what we're going to look at. And I'm also going to run you through a little bit for what happens if you become a non-resident of Canada, like myself. I have experience with this. So let's talk about from an investing standpoint, if you invest in a stock that has no dividend. So we'll run through a couple of scenarios. So let's say you buy Shopify stock, and of course I'm looking at the NASDAQ one, but I really want to look at Shopify stock TSX. So let's say you're buying Shopify in your TFSA, in your tax-free savings account, the Shopify that's listed on the Canadian stock market, but it actually, because there's no dividend, it actually applies for the American one as well. But more on that later. We'll get to it. We'll stick with Canadian listed first. So what happens if you buy a Canadian stock like Shopify in your TFSA? You bought it at a certain price, you sell it at another price, you make a big capital gain. Well, that capital gain is 100% tax-free. Tax-free. That's fantastic. What happens if you have a Canadian listed dividend stock, for example, like TD Bank? TD Bank, if you buy low and sell high, if you make a capital gain, that also is tax-free. But what about the dividend? We know that TD Bank and a lot of Canadian stocks, like Canadian banks, for example, have a quarterly dividend. Well, that also is tax-free. Whether you reinvest it in something else, you're dripping it or whatever it is, that dividend is also tax-free. So that covers a capital gain from a stock without a dividend. We're Canadian listed. We've also covered a Canadian dividend stock. What about a Canadian ETF? So, for example, the CNDX ETF from Global X Canada, which is just the Global X S&P TSX 60 Index ETF. This holds 60 Canadian companies. Because this is listed on the Canadian market, it only holds Canadian stocks, including dividends. You're getting some dividend income from CNDX. This is also tax-free. The dividends, capital gains are tax-free. Now, what if you're investing in a Canadian listed ETF that has US or international dividends, right? Now, it's very important to understand that if you're investing something in an ETF or a stock listed on a Canadian exchange, it is technically tax-free for you, but the ETF might be having to pay withholding tax within the ETF. Very important to understand. So what do I mean by that? If we take an example of HAZ, the Global X Active Global Dividend ETF, this is an ETF that's listed in Canada. I repeat, it's on the Canadian stock market, but it holds a lot of non-Canadian stocks like you see here. Right, 61% in United States companies or companies listed in the United States, and also some in France and UK, etc., etc., etc. And obviously by the name dividend ETF, there's some dividend stocks, or it's practically all dividend stocks in here. So because HAZ or HAZ is Canadian listed, you will not see withholding tax being taken in your TFSA account on some of this distribution yield, because HAZ is listed in Canada. So you're not going to see the 15% withholding tax. More on the 15% withholding tax in a further episode, but let me just explain it real quick here. Dividends or interest from a US company or outside of Canada, stock outside of Canada, Canadians need to pay typically a 15% withholding tax. So if we take the example of a US stock like an Apple or a Procter and Gamble or McDonald's, those are US dividend stocks. So if a Canadian buys it typically in any account, except for the RSP, which is later, but let's say that you buy that stock, well, it's subject to a withholding tax because it is a U.S. company. Now, the universal withholding tax rate in the U.S. is 30%, but because Canada and U.S. has a tax treaty, it's actually 15%. So there's a 15% withholding tax. So that means that in HAZ, if there is a U.S. dividend stock, HAZ has to pay, if you will, or the withholding taxes within this ETF. Hopefully I'm not confusing you, but again, it's very important. Where do you see this? Well, if you look at the 2024 tax breakdown, and if we search for HAZ, you see in the foreign tax withheld column, you'll see 0.098, etc., etc. So the total distributions that you got for the entire year from HAZ was just under 67 cents. You see that a portion of it, or the withholding tax that HAZ paid within the fund, which is completely transparent to you, there is withholding taxes. So technically, let's say you actually hold HAZ in your TFSA, you will not see a 15% withholding tax being taken from your distribution, but the ETF is paying that distribution, that withholding tax rather, on your behalf. Okay, so we've covered the Canadian listed, right? Canadian listed stock with no dividend, Canadian listed stock with a dividend, Canadian listed ETF that only has Canadian stocks in it, and also a Canadian listed ETF that has some US dividend stock. So in short, in essence, there's no withholding tax. There's no 15% withholding tax or anything. Completely tax-free, with a little exception with HAZ, where you won't see the 15% withholding tax in your account, but technically HAZ needs to pay it, right? Because HAZ has to pay those withholding taxes because they hold U.S. dividend stocks, French dividend stocks, etc., etc. What about U.S. listed stocks? Moving on now. U.S. listed stocks. So let's say you invest in Tesla on the American stock market in your TFSA. Tesla has no dividend, right? So if you're buying Tesla at one price, selling it at another price, let's say you make a big capital gain, that is still tax-free. So capital gains from buying low and selling high made from either Canadian stocks or even US stocks, though that is 100% tax sheltered or tax-free within the TFSA. Where there's no 15% withholding tax, because the 15% withholding tax is only on interest income or dividend income from a US listed security like McDonald's, right? So if you're buying McDonald's, for example, in your TFSA, well, McDonald's has a dividend. So the TFSA, because it's a US company and the US doesn't really care that it's in your TFSA, that's a Canadian account, it's still subject, your McDonald's dividends are going to be subject to a 15% withholding tax. You'll see that come out of your TFSA. There's really no way of getting that back, right? So when we say tax-free savings account, generally speaking, it is tax-free if you're buying anything listed on the Canadian stock market, with a small exception if you're buying a Canadian listed product that holds US dividends. You won't see the withholding tax, but the ETF is paying it. It's within there. If you're holding American stocks, if there's no dividend, that's fine. If it's a dividend stock, you're going to pay 15% withholding tax on the dividend. And the same goes for an ETF as well. If you're holding an ETF, for example, like QYLD, which is a NASDAQ 100 covered call ETF, which typically gives approximate 12% yield. This is listed on the US stock market. QYLD is listed on the US stock market. So all the distributions, all the dividends you're basically receiving, if you hold this in your TFSA, you will have to pay 15% withholding tax on that, right? QYLD. And we're talking, make sure we understand, QYLD is listed on the US stock market, right? So there you have it, everyone. Essentially, it is tax-free. All withdrawals are tax-free as well. The only exception is if you hold US dividend stocks or US listed ETFs, any income or dividend income that's generated from the US listed stuff are going to be subject to a 15% withholding tax. That's why generally, normally, and this is not financial advice, but normally Canadians like to stick with Canadian listed stocks or Canadian listed ETFs. And again, if you really like some American companies like Tesla or Amazon that don't have a dividend, that's completely fine. The capital gains on those are completely tax-free. The 15% withholding tax are only on the US listed stocks that have a dividend or US listed ETFs that generate income. So that's how the tax-free savings account really works in terms of taxes. Again, it is really tax-free. Withdrawals are tax-free with the exception of those US listed funds. And another thing to remember is just because you can make capital gains, but you could also make capital losses. So if you do end up making capital losses in your TFSA or realizing those capital losses, for example, you buy Shopify at 200 or something, just a hypothetical example, then you sell it at 171, you have a capital loss. You can't offset that capital loss. You can't get that TFSA room back, right? So yes, you could get really lucky in your TFSA and pick some really good stocks that go up 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x. You're essentially expanding your TFSA account, and you could go way over $100,000. I know some people have a couple of $100,000 in their TFSA. That's fine, because remember, like we saw in the first episode regarding the TFSA, the limits are on how much you put in. The limits are contributions, not how big your TFSA could get. But if you make some bad investment decision, you can literally do nothing with the losses and really destroy some of your TFSA room as well. So very, very important to keep that in mind. So hopefully now you understand exactly how the taxes work within a TFSA. And this is why generally Canadians like to stick with Canadian listed stocks or Canadian listed ETFs or US listed ETFs that don't have a dividend. But hey, if the stock has a really small dividend, relatively small dividend like McDonald's at 2% a year, where the tax is 15% of that. So it's not exactly a crazy big deal, but it is 15% that withholding tax that you can't get back. My personal opinion, what you really want to avoid in the TFSA is really high yielding US listed ETFs, because if the majority of the return is coming from big yields or a higher yield, for example, like a QYLD, well, 15% becomes much more relative when the yield is 12% or 15% instead of a little 2.35% like McDonald's, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So there you have it, everyone. That's how the TFSA works. Obviously, a very, very powerful account. And this is why there's such constraint. That's why there's limits every year on that account. So it's very important to maximize it. And it's typically the first account that all Canadian investors typically max out and use first. Next. What if you become a Canadian non-resident like myself, everyone? Well, it's very simple. You can't contribute anymore, right? You can't contribute to your TFSA anymore, because if you do, you'll have to pay a 1% monthly tax, the same kind of tax if you're a Canadian resident and you over contributed, right? Same type of deal. You don't get any new room as well. Every year that goes by, when there's a new 7,000 or 6,000, you don't get that. So basically, you get to keep it. Everything in there still is tax-free or still earned tax-free. Even the withdrawals are tax-free as far as Canada is concerned. But if you withdraw anything as a non-resident, you can't use that the following year unless you become a Canadian resident again, right? So that's basically the basics for a TFSA if you become a non-resident. In short, you could still keep it, but you can't contribute any more to it. If you withdraw anything, you only get that back when you become a Canadian resident once again. Next account, what is another very popular account? That's a registered account in Canada. That's the RRSP. So the next two episodes will explore the RRSP in detail.